Weak auras are a touchy subject right now, seeing as Blizzard is currently starting a campaign to essentially remove them from the game. But the reality is, until Blizzard removes them, you should absolutely be using them. A good weak aura is not only insanely overpowered, but it can also just be really convenient. What I wanted to do today is go over some of my favorite weak auras that I basically could just not live without, and that I feel have helped me out so much in the game. And then I also potentially wanted to start a discussion in the comments where you guys are free to share any of your favorite weak auras. They don't have to be insane, maybe even just something silly, like it plays Pedro when you press Lust.
I hate you with face suppression.
Or it makes your screen spin when you press spinning crane kick. This shit's so goofy, dude. Whatever weak auras you think are really cool, definitely would love to hear what you guys have for us in the comments. And other than that, let's get into it. Now here's one super functional and insanely helpful weak aura for anyone that is looking to do Mythic Plus content. A lot of you may already have this or even some other version of it, but if you don't, you definitely should get one. And I'm of course talking about a targeted spell weak aura to notify yourself if you're about to get absolutely nuked by some mechanic in the game. Especially in lower keys when kicks are often far too rare, this can be a really nice weak aura to have to let yourself know if you need to rip a defensive or some sort of stop or quickly look for a kick to keep yourself alive. Now, if it's not clear what this weak aura does, basically it will give yourself a little icon on your screen anytime that you get targeted directly by a spell. That's it. It's super simple. Someone is casting a spell on you, you will get notified so that you can react appropriately. Now, of course, you don't need this weak aura to know if somebody is casting on you. There are other ways that you can tell. The easiest, of course, being just looking at your caster's target. But casts can happen pretty quickly, and sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what's going on in a pack all of the time, especially during these pulls where there's 3, 4, sometimes even 5 casters. Something that is also pretty nice about this weak aura is that it will also let you know if you are targeted by an unkickable mechanic, such as the throw chair from Muscles in Cinderbrew. You'll see the weak aura pop up and you'll go, oh, I'm about to take a lot of damage, better pop a defensive. There are different versions of this weak aura, but if you want to try it out, this is the one that I have been using. I did end up disabling the icon that has it appear on my unit frames just because Cell already does this for me, but the notification on my center screen is definitely super helpful, and I will continue to use this as long as weak auras are still in the game. Now, you don't need something super complex for it to be useful. Sometimes something as simple as text on your screen to know when there's a lock gate that's usable nearby is just super nice to have. This is a weak aura that I saw Fired Up using during the Race to World First, and honestly, I went to get it right away. To a lot of people, this might sound silly, but think about how often you actually take advantage of lock gates in a normal encounter. If there's a Warlock in your group, there's a high chance that he's placing a lock gate, but you're not always thinking about that. You're doing your rotation and trying to do big damage, but let me tell you, a well-placed lock gate is so nice. And here's how you can make this even better. You're going to want to combine this weak aura with something in the game called a Gateway Control Shard. If you don't know what this is already, basically this is an item that you can buy that you only need one of. You buy it once and you have it, and then you place it as a keybind on your bar. Now, anytime that a lock gate is nearby and usable, all you have to do is push that button and you will automatically take the lock gate. You don't gotta get flustered and try to click the thing. Just click and then boop, you are on the other side of the boss arena. Trust me, once you go back to using these two things, you will realize just how nice they really are. Also, a quick shout out before I move on to the next one. If you guys are enjoying this type of content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and help me out. I would really appreciate it. Also, I am currently streaming my guild's Mythic progression over on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're looking to hang out with us live, definitely click that link in the description below. I didn't even think that was possible to go that slow in Ghost Wolf. Now, the next weak aura that we are going to talk about is another simple one. This one is a repair weak aura. Now, I'm not proud to admit that I have bricked my fair share of keys by simply forgetting to repair before going into a fully indoor dungeon. You'll get to the third boss and then suddenly realize, oh, my gear is broken. But wait, does anyone have an auto hammer? Nope, guess I gotta run out of the dungeon. This feeling sucks, and regardless of this, definitely make sure that you are picking up auto hammers from the auction house before this happens to you. But seriously, nothing is worse than pulling up to a boss only to realize that your weapon is broken. The nice thing is too, with this specific one that I have, you can adjust the repair threshold, so if you want to be notified earlier or later, you can always adjust it. You can also choose to set it so it won't load in combat, so maybe if you're in combat and then you get out and then you suddenly have to repair, it won't annoy you when you go into the next pull. Super convenient, everyone should have this weak aura, it just solves so many issues. Now, something a bit more intense that I think everybody should have a version of has gotta be some sort of class weak aura pack. I know it's a bit more basic, these are a lot more common, but this is the first thing that I download whenever I start playing any new class. Now, you do want to be careful. When I say that, I don't want to mislead people. Just having a bunch of things on your screen that you don't even know what they are isn't always the most helpful, and it can actually slow down your ability to learn the class. But what I like about having a standard class pack is that it oftentimes will show you just immediately what the most important abilities for you to think about are. For example, I like using the Luxthos weak auras, and if we take a look at the Arcane Mage one, here at the top you can see my Arcane Surge, my Evocation, my Touch, we've got Missiles Tracker, Surge of Power, Arcane Orbs, basically everything that you need is all right there. This lets me know that these are the abilities I should probably have in convenient keybinds for myself. Now, this weak aura pack also includes procs, so over time I find that I kind of just slowly get an understanding of what everything means. At least for the Luxthos packs as well, they're incredibly customizable, so you can open them up and go into the custom settings and change whatever you want. For example, normally my utility spells are transparent, which kind of annoyed me, so instead I just went in and set their opacity to 100, so it's easier for me to see where my defensives are available. Now, this isn't a substitute for actually learning your class. You'll still need to go and watch a guide or two, or maybe read up on Wowhead, but it's a fantastic place to start when learning any class, and honestly, I couldn't perform nearly as well as I do in Keys or Raid if it weren't for these weak aura packs, so definitely consider picking them up if you haven't. Maybe eventually WoW's cooldown manager will be able to replace these things on our UI, but for now, this is by far the best option. Now, this next one I probably like partly because I raid lead, but I think honestly everyone should get it. It's just really nice to have. And that is a raid buffs tracker for your party, just to see if anyone is missing any raid buffs currently. After a wipe in raid or during Mythic Plus, frequently people will just die and they don't get rebuffed, and depending on how many people it is, that can kind of suck. I don't know about you guys, but if I want to do big damage, and if I'm playing my Ellie Shaman and I'm not getting Arcane Intellect for my mage, I'm just gonna do less damage. That's not cool at all, but if you get the raid buffs tracker, it's very clear immediately if somebody needs to rebuff, and that way you can just quickly rip it and go. Similar to the repair weak auras, just another quality of life aura that makes all of the maintenance stuff in the game just a little bit easier. I would like to see Blizzard eventually make these buffs just an aura around the player, but hey, at least for now, this works. Now, next up on our list, this is always something I need to get, especially when you get some of those funky trinkets in a tier. Of course, this weak aura is a weapon or trinket tracker. Sometimes this is as simple as just having something on your screen to track your trinket's cooldown, but for some trinkets, it can be really nice to have something to track how often they proc. For example, I have this trinket from the Rookery, the Skarden's Core or whatever it's called. I actually have this cool little weak aura that puts a circle timer around my character when I have the int buff. Now, this is kind of fun because it adds that extra little mini game where sometimes I'm trying to run away from the orb to maximize the uptime on my trinket. Another example of this was last year with the Kaiveza trinket, where it would say jump 3 times. I had a weak aura that would just text to speech whenever I needed to do, so I didn't even have to really think about it. It would just say jump 3 times. For Spy Masters last year, I had a weak aura that tracked how many stacks that I had, so that I knew when it was time to let it loose. Trust me, if you're not tracking your trinkets appropriately already in a convenient place, similar to your class cooldowns, then it is just so worth it. I'm sure there's other great examples of weak auras for trinkets that exist this tier, but those are just to name a few. You can also just get a simple aura like this one that I have that will just swap out regardless of whatever trinket you're using, so that you don't need to go in and individually put a new aura for each trinket. Super nice, definitely recommend. Finally, I was initially going to make this video just about 6 weak auras, but I decided to add this last one because it can just save you so much time. How often do you guys die in a dungeon or a raid and then impulsively just go and click the release button? It sucks. And especially in a raid, even if one person releases, instantly the entire raid now has to wait much longer to get into the next pull of the boss, which is just super annoying. You can avoid this ever happening again with a simple don't release weak aura. We use this one in our guild that forces us to hold control to release rather than just clicking the button. Since most people's muscle memory is built to just instinctively hit release, this kind of switches it up and makes it far less likely that you're going to just accidentally cost your group a bunch of time. Definitely worth having. And that's going to do it for our video today. Hopefully I at least gave you guys one new weak aura that you can use and look forward to. I think all of these are super nice, and I'm so glad that I get to share them all with you. Definitely let me know what your favorite weak auras are in the comments. Probably don't link them, I think that might flag the comment, but just put the name and what they do. I would love to check them out and maybe make a part 2 for this video. Also, as mentioned, if you made it this far, you clearly enjoyed the video, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. And if you're interested, feel free to check out my stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays live on Twitch, link in the description below. I'll catch you guys in the next one.